So, good morning, everyone. My name is Kente Howie, and I am a senior at Classical High School, and welcome to the Providence Public Schools annual Convocation. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today as we gear to an energetic start to the new school year and superintendent's update on the district's progress and goals. We have a fantastic program prepared for all of us today. The colors are presented by members of Hope High School Army JROTC, the Blue Wave Battalion. The color guard is commanded by Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Aladin Saldana and consists of cadets Yuri Gonclaves, Blanca Colado, Justin Crespo, Ryan Vocaisone, Jennifer Flores, Cecilia Cespedes, and Lisette Batista. The color guard is coached by Master Sergeant Alan Kushner under direction of Senior Army Instructor Lieutenant Colonel Chris Corbett. So please rise for the presentation of our national colors. The singing of the national anthem will be led by Joanna Deres, a former student at Del Sesto.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn early light what so proudly we held at the twilight last gleaming, who brought stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the rampart we watched, that our flag was still there. Oh, say the star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
I would like to ask for a moment of silence for all of our teachers and students that have passed on this year. McGowdy Jr., Judy at Central High School, Barnes Timothy, Gary Duffy, Pasha Love, Michael Coral, and William Glad, and Gerard Hazard, a student who graduated from Birch Academy at Mount Pleasant, who died this past year. I would like to recognize and acknowledge the following dignitaries and special guests: Mayor Angel Tavares, School Board Chair Keith Oliveira, and school board members Elva, Nina, and Yamil, City Council Principe, City Council Zaria, and City Councilwoman Matos. I now have the pleasure of introducing to you a leader in our city who comes from roots similar to many of those in Providence. Mayor Angel Tavares has often spoken about his own Head Start to Harvard path, which took him through several of our Providence public schools. He has also credited one of his elementary school teachers with setting him on the right path to believe he could achieve whatever he wanted through education. As mayor, he has led efforts to ensure that every child shares the belief. He has championed public education, supported early childhood education, and brought national attention and funding to a multitude of these efforts at improving education. These efforts begin in infancy with programs like Providence Talks designed to increase children's vocabulary and school readiness, which extends from kindergarten to 12th grade through the school years with programs like his direct support of the Children's Youth and Youth Cabinet Attendance Improvement Campaign, and culminate in his support of college and career readiness efforts in our schools. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Mayor Angel Tavares.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you to please give a big, big round of applause to a classical high school senior, Kinte Hassan Howie, for the great work he's doing. Kinte is a credit to his parents, but he's also a credit to all of you who are part of the Providence School Department and the work that you've done preparing our young leaders for tomorrow. I want to take a moment as well to just recognize Dr. Lucy for her leadership as superintendent. I want to recognize, I know that Council President Solomon will be here later. I want to recognize Councilman Zuria, Principi, and Matos as well, Councilwoman Matos, who is here with us. Recognize all of the board members, school board members, and Keith Oliveira, who's on stage with us today, the school board chair. I also want to welcome to Providence our keynote speaker today, Robert Lewis Jr. We're thrilled to have you. Thank you for joining us. And let me also recognize the Providence Police School Resource Officers who are here and the work that they do each and every day. And I want to recognize, last but certainly not least, all of you, all of our teachers, administrators, everyone who makes the school department and our schools run. And I want to thank you for being here today and for the work that you do each and every day. Thank you very, very much for that. Just recently, actually it was this weekend, I was at Taqwatan Home. I was visiting Elaine Temkin. Mrs. Temkin was a teacher at Classical High School when I went there. She taught 9th grade history and really helped us open our minds and learn more about Thucydides and Herodotus and the Parthenon and Athens and Sparta. I remember it well in columns, and I've had a chance to interact with her now more and realize the influence that she, along with so many of my teachers, have had on my life, whether it's Mrs. Temkin or Mrs. Cardoza or Mrs. Sullivan or Mrs. Donaldson or Mr. Calabro, all of my middle school teachers as well and my high school teachers. You have an impact on the lives of students that you can only imagine, and some of you may see it, some of you may not, because it may be years in the future that the student realizes how fortunate they were to have outstanding Providence teachers. But I want you to know that what we are seeing in the city of Providence, when you see grade level reading for 4th grade students going from 43 to 52% in the course of a year, it's because of the teachers that we have and the work that you're doing, and our partners as well who are here with us. When you see that the graduation rate is going up and the dropout rate is going down, it's because of the work that you're doing, the commitment, and the Graduate Providence campaign that so many of you participated in. When you see Carnegie Foundation decide that they want to give $3 million to a school district and they pick the city of Providence, it's because of the work that you're doing in the schools here and the fact that people across the country are noticing and taking and willing to invest in our district. That doesn't happen without outstanding teachers and outstanding commitment to learning. And so I am proud to be able to stand before you today and welcome you to the 2014-2015 school year. I am proud for the work that we've done together. I know it hasn't been easy. I know that there have been challenges, but thank you for what you do each and every day. Thank you for your commitment to our students and to making sure that they have an opportunity to succeed. It's because of people like you that I am able to be here today and stand here as your mayor. It would not happen without the commitment of our teachers in the Providence School Department. And I know without any hesitation that you are educating a future mayor today, future doctors and lawyers and future leaders of our community. So I say to you, thank you on behalf of all of those who you have educated. Thank you on behalf of all of those who you will educate. Thank you for everything that you do. I look forward to working with you, to continuing to move our city forward and to provide opportunity for all our kids to live their dreams, to be successful, and to one day stand on this stage and say thank you again to you. Thank you all very, very much. It's my pleasure to introduce to you students who will be coming up to pay a tribute to our teachers as well. Helen de la Cruz from E-Cubed Academy. Where's Helen? Yanida Rosales from Del Sesto Middle School. Yanida. Valerie Diaz from Alvarez. Juan Nunez from Gilbert Stewart. Alejan Polanco from Del Sesto Middle School. Marlon Monteroso from Wester Avenue School. Domingo Carmona from Mount Pleasant High School. And Kinti Howie from Classical High School.
My name is Valerie Diaz. I'm a senior at Alvarez High School, and let me tell you, being part of the new environment is part of the process. I came to United States September of 2013, almost a year. And it was difficult for me because I wasn't used to the environment, the people, to the language, or the different cultures. It was a hard time for me because it was the beginning of a new chapter. I used to cry often. I was depressed for weeks, but there is a bright side because I met this amazing teacher that helped me out with everything and that was there always for me. He taught me something very important, and it's that you can't be afraid to be yourself because when you be yourself, everything is easier. Be who you are. His name is Luis Alvarez, and no words can describe how grateful I am to him. Hola, mi nombre es Valerie Díaz, estoy en el grado 12 en la escuela Álvarez y déjame decirte, tener miedo a un nuevo entorno es parte del proceso. Vine a Estados Unidos septiembre del 2013, casi un año, y fue muy difícil para mí, porque yo no estaba acostumbrada al ambiente, las personas, el lenguaje o las diferentes culturas. Yo solía llorar a menudo, yo estuve deprimida durante semanas, pero sí hay algo bueno, y fue que conocí a este maestro increíble que me ayudó con todo y estuvo ahí siempre para mí. Él me enseñó algo muy importante, y es que nunca puedes tener miedo de ser tú mismo, porque cuando eres tú mismo, todo tiene sentido. Su nombre es Luis Álvarez, y no hay palabras que describan lo agradecida que estoy con él. Gracias.
My name is Juan Nunez, and I am in the 7th grade, going into the 7th grade, and I attend to Gilbert Stewart Middle School. One of the teachers that I think impacted my 6th grade life was my teacher, Mr. Norris, Rich Norris. He showed that learning wasn't just taking your textbook and just reading it. He showed us the bright side of learning. Just like I said, it wasn't just taking your textbook. He made us interact with each other, and he would tell us if one person didn't know something, then talk to this person, he'll teach you. He was the kind of guy who wasn't like other teachers. He was like one of the students. He wasn't like just a normal teacher, and well, not in a bad way. There's really nothing I can tell about him because he was like the greatest teacher that I ever had, and I wish he would be in my same school this year. He will be attending a different school, and I wish he would just be with me this year, but I hope he has a good year in his new school.
Good morning. My name is Domingo Carmona. I've been in the United States for 4 years. When I got in my sophomore year in Mount Pleasant, I had a teacher that dedicated her time on me, just to make sure that I was learning her class. She was there when I needed her, when I had a problem understanding her class, The door was always open for me to come to her class and ask for help. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Helen de la Cruz, and I want to tell everyone in here a little bit about my experience. I came a year ago from Dominican Republic, and I was frustrated because I didn't know English at all. But the first day of school at Nathan Bishop Middle School, I found this wonderful teacher called Ana Cruz Bellicer that helped me through all my school year to improve my English, and I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Unity Rosales, and I am an 8th grader, and I attend at Del Sesto Middle School. I want to talk about a teacher who changed my life, and that teacher is Mr. Glad. Before Mr. Glad passed on, he encouraged me to get a good education and be successful in all my classes. I took his advice, and now I am successful in all my classes. And when because of him, I am who I am today, and I just want to say thank you to him. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Elijah Polanco. I will be entering the 7th grade. When I first entered Del Sesto Middle School, I met Miss O'Leary. She was very nice, sweet, kind, and very caring. Miss O'Leary would always greet me with a smile on her face, and sometimes that was all I needed to be acknowledged that by someone who seemed happy to see me. I love Miss O'Leary so much. Thank you for being you, Miss O'Leary.
Good morning. My name is Marlon Monteroso. I attended Webster Avenue School. I am glad I had met Mr. Bonzagni as a teacher because he helped me in my most difficult subject, which was reading. He also helped me to grow as a student. More than a teacher, he is a friend to me. So I would like everybody to give a round of applause to Mr. Bonzagni.
Good morning. My name is Jana Fernandez, and I am 9 years old, entering 4th grade at Robert F. Kennedy Elementary School. I would like to thank these 3 amazing teachers. Miss Medeiros, who was my kindergarten teacher, Miss Aubin, who was my 1st grade teacher, and Miss Haggerty, who was my 2nd grade teacher. I would like to thank Miss Medeiros for her great reading skills that she taught me, Miss Aubin for her great social skills, which allowed me to stand up here and speak, Miss Haggerty for her awesome math skills. These teachers have inspired me to learn more and to never give up. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Leslie Monteroso. I come from Webster Avenue School. I am lucky that I had Miss Kay on my first year because she taught me with all her love and patience. She is a perfect kindergarten teacher.
The teachers I would like to thank, 4 of which are from classical and 1 is from Martin Luther King Elementary School. The 4 teachers are Mr. Kite, Mrs. Etienne, Mr. Goldie, and Miss Morimura. And I just want to tell you, there is no teacher at classical that is normal. So a lot of these teachers continue to push me to go on and to strive for excellence. And it's because of them that I'm able to do opportunities and have opportunities like this. Like Miss Morimura, who is my Japanese teacher, continues to push me to try and learn Japanese, try to speak it fluently, although I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. Mr. Goldie, even though he's very sarcastic in his classes in history, he always tries to make it more fun and interesting. Mr. Kite makes English class so much, he makes it very weird. I'm just gonna say it. He makes it very weird, but it's fun, kind of weird. And Mrs. Etienne is the art teacher that you wish you had. You can go talk to her with anything. You can just sit in her class and just paint and just relax. These are the teachers that make up our Providence School District. So I'd just like to say thank you to them.
Good morning. I'm Rachel Mellion, Executive Director of the Office of Transformation and Innovation. What a pleasure it was to start our morning hearing those heartfelt words from our students. I know that I'm here today because I was inspired by my second grade teacher, Mrs. Ursino. So I'm really excited to be here this morning to kick off our school year. Are you excited to be here? Woo! Okay. So our district is fortunate to have multiple opportunities to adapt groundbreaking initiatives in pursuit of student success. We are also very fortunate to have you, dedicated and committed teachers, leaders, and invested community partners to support this work. Today, I am very excited to share with you some of the initiatives and pilots coming out of the new Innovation Zone. We revised the Innovation Zone to identify and pilot innovative, sustainable, and scalable best practices. Within the zone, we carved out a small cluster of schools to serve as an incubator, taking important steps to increase school-based decision-making and autonomy. I am very pleased to introduce you to the Trailblazer principals.
It's an honor to have been selected by the superintendent after a rigorous assessment period. It is an exciting time for our school. We do have increased flexibility and support from the Office of Transformation Innovation as well as Mass Insight. They do maintain in presence in our building. We meet on a regular basis to review and analyze data. We develop and implement strategies that we believe are in the best interest of our students and teachers. They also help provide us with immediate assistance and feedback. They are very responsive to our needs. They remove barriers and challenges that we encounter from central administration. We are grateful to the Office of Transformation Innovation as well as Mass Insight for the tremendous support to our school. I'm also grateful to all of my teachers and staff for the tremendous job that they do on a daily basis. Thank you.
So being a part of the Trailblazer means to me flexibility to direct resources, to promote and pilot innovative programs. We're able to make some school-based decisions. We're also able to come together to look and discuss the unique needs of our students, teachers, and families. So the OTI team provides me with on-the-ground support. We have what we call the principal check-in meetings. They support me in the areas of staff development, data-driven decisions, SIP revisions, academic strategies, and also with our right quarterly meetings. The OTI helps me advocate for my school. They work to remove the barriers that sometimes we have to face at the district level. The OTI identify and provides additional resources. They help to streamline information. So we reorganize our schedule to allow for more intentional vertical and horizontal CPT for teachers, focusing on the common core and student engagement. We have a new before-school breakfast program, which will allow us to maximize instruction during the day. We have a new program, blended learning program, K-2. We have a school-wide intervention block for math. We are going to provide more opportunities for reading comprehension strategies and writing during reading centers. We have a new nutrition program for third grade students via technology, and that's it.
For us, being part of the Trailblazer Cluster is a real honor. We had the Mass Insight team come out and meet with all of our stakeholders, and after meeting with our stakeholders, they determined that we were ready for this innovative work. One of the reasons that I was really passionate about getting us to be part of this zone is because of the opportunity for more autonomy for our school. Roger Williams has struggled in the past, and it's great to see us moving forward and to have the zone realize this and to bring us into this special cluster. We've had great support from OTI and Mass Insight as they've sent team members out to work with us on our school improvement plan, the revision of it, and also brainstorming of our Title I funds to use them as creatively as possible to support our students. They've also sat side by side with us at our RIDE quarterly monitoring meetings, and they really challenge us to think more deeply about the data that we're presenting, and they challenge us to come up with creative, out-of-the-box thinking solutions to make the instruction better for our students. Another way that OTI and Mass Insight have been able to support Roger Williams is through the RIDE mini grant. They came out to the school and helped us develop a creative opportunity for our school, which involved data. Through this grant, we were able to put a data specialist into place. We were also able to provide extensive professional development opportunities for our teachers to support them with using data to drive their instruction. And we are also going to be able to implement individual data trackers for our students so that they can keep track of their own growth in each and every classroom. What lies ahead for us as a member of the Trailblazer Cluster is that we're going to be able to really dive deep into data. We're going to be able to use that to drive our instructions and make things as great as possible for our students so that we can really push and get them to increase their academic achievement. The other exciting opportunity we have upcoming is our student engagement. We're really looking deeply at student engagement and what that looks like in classrooms for our children. The OTI has been great where we've been able to meet with them and develop a learning walk tool specifically to identify the strengths and needs of our classrooms so that we can make things better for the students of Roger Williams Middle School.
This past spring, under Dr. Lucy's direction, we took important steps to increase school-based decision-making and decentralize central office supports to schools. We revised and launched a new innovation zone, creating a protected space for schools to innovate and work differently. The new innovation zone is comprised of 3 clusters of schools, each with a unique approach toward increasing student outcomes. The Trailblazer Cluster, United Providence Schools, and the New Schools Cluster, which includes West Broadway Middle School, reopening this school year, and 2 new innovative high schools funded by the Carnegie Opportunity by Design Challenge, for which this is a planning year. The Trailblazer Cluster is our incubator and operates under the motto, paving the way for student success. After a rigorous school readiness assessment last winter, Dr. Lucy selected Robert Bailey Elementary School, Roger Williams Middle School, and Hopkins Middle School to join the Trailblazer Cluster. These schools were selected as a result of positive evidence gathered during their school readiness assessment, including upward trends in student improvement growth, strong building leadership, strong labor management relationships, shifting culture to make data-driven decisions, strong team cohesion and shared accountability, and the ability to think out of the box to reach the next level in improving student outcomes. The Trailblazer Cluster has increased flexibility and support to propose and pilot innovative reform strategies. The Office of Transformation and Innovation will provide intensive on-the-ground capacity to support these schools. We look forward to supporting the Trailblazer schools as they identify and test pioneering initiatives, such as Bailey's Breakfast Out of the Classroom program, designed to maximize during school instructional time, Roger Williams Data Specialist position, designed to increase school-wide capacity to track, monitor, and analyze a variety of student data to inform continuous improvement efforts, and Hopkins efforts to strengthen climate and culture through their new uniform plan. I am delighted about what this means to our schools and to the district as a whole. Our goal is to identify and pilot innovative, scalable, and sustainable best practices to share across all zones and ultimately increase the quality of education for all students in Providence.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. On behalf of the Providence School Board, I bring you all greetings. And first of all, how about the testimony of our students this morning? Isn't that what it's all about? Isn't that why we do this work? I want to acknowledge all of my colleagues, the Mayor, Superintendent Lucy, our honored guest this morning, Mr. Lewis, my colleagues on the school board, Eva House-Avila and Nina Panday. Thank you all for being here. This is an exciting time of year in public education. In a couple of days, we'll be welcoming back all of those smiling faces and bright minds and eager minds, and it's an exciting time of year. And this is an opportunity for us who are the adults and the professionals in this district to reflect on how we are going to best serve our students. As a school board member, I'm in charge of making some very challenging and with my colleagues on the board and very difficult decisions. And I can commit to you that when I sit with my school board colleagues on board, we try to make decisions that are first and foremost student-centered decisions. How are these going to impact our kids? Are they family-friendly decisions? Are they welcoming to our families and the families that we serve? And we're also mindful of how the decisions we make, what are the real and practical impact in schools, in the classroom, and so that they are supportive of making your lives and the work that you do easier and supportive. That is our role. And so I want all of us to reflect as how we as adults, in each of your capacity, how do we serve these kids? How do we serve them? That's what this is all about. Our theme is we are a district on the move, and we are a district on the move. We have you've heard about many of the new initiatives that we will be introducing and moving forward with. We're moving towards a district that is empowering school-based decisions so that those of you who work in schools and work directly with the students have a direct voice and impact on some of the decisions that happen in your school. So because you guys know, who are closest to the students, how to serve them better than some of us who serve at a policy-making level. That is the direction that we're going. We want to support the schools, and we want to make decisions that are supportive of the work that happens in our school. We are a district on the move. I want to thank all of you for being here. We have real challenges ahead, but we will move forward in meeting those challenges, and we will show success as we have been showing over the last several years that the data has been suggesting. So I want to thank all of you for what you do. I want to thank all of you for how we serve kids like this. And I know as a product of the Providence public school system, someone that went to College Laurel School when it was Kenyon Street School, someone that went to Vatan Gregorian School when it was a Fox Point Elementary School, when I went to Nathan Bishop to Hope High School. I am a product of what you do. And so I stand before you as testimony, and just as I'm sure these students will stand before you several years in the future, that what you do today will impact their lives in the future and will move this district forward. So thank you for being here.
Good morning. For those of you who may not know me, I'm Lori McEwen, and I'm thrilled to be here in Providence as the Chief of Instruction, Leadership, and Equity, the not-so-new Chief of Instruction, Leadership, and Equity. I'm closing in on my third month. I'm so excited to be here with all of you and very optimistic about this school year and the work that we are all privileged to do together on behalf of the children of Providence. An important component of that work falls on the shoulders of our early elementary colleagues, who know the importance of early literacy and reading proficiency by third grade. In their report on the importance of grade-level reading proficiency by third grade, the Annie E. Casey Foundation notes, children with the lowest reading scores account for 33% of all students, yet they account for 63% of all children who do not graduate from high school. We know that, as does Mayor Tavares, whose comprehensive campaign, Providence Reads, has set an ambitious goal to increase grade-level proficiency for entering fourth graders to 70% by 2015. And on a side note, we are well on our way to reaching that goal. We are often those stuck in a catch-22. Those students who cannot read well are not excited about school and often do not come to school regularly. Yet that engagement and excitement is key to their success. That same Annie E. Casey Foundation report states that the most powerful predictor of later achievement is a student's approach to learning. And I think we saw an approach to learning from these young students. That is what we want to see in all of our students. And so we educators focus on creating a culture for learning by communicating our high expectations, and we engage students in the learning with innovative learning activities and instructional resources designed to ignite the minds of all learners, but especially to draw in our reluctant or struggling learners. Finding that novel approach, however, takes time, collaboration, and of course, resources that are not always at our disposal. Fortunately, there are philanthropists who understand the importance of sparking the imagination and curiosity of all children. To tell us more, we are joined today by Toby Shepard, Grant Programs Officer for the Rhode Island Foundation, who is here to officially announce the Sparks Grants.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to join all of you this morning. My name is Toby Shepard. I serve as the Grant Programs Officer for Education at the Rhode Island Foundation. And on behalf of the Rhode Island Foundation, it's my pleasure to welcome everyone to a new school year here in Providence. The Rhode Island Foundation is committed to working side by side with teachers in the classroom to ensure that all of our students have the opportunity to succeed. We invest in best practice K-12 programs, professional development, and systems-level policy changes in an effort to reduce Rhode Island's dropout rates, narrow our achievement gaps, and help ensure that our young people graduate high school, college, and career ready. The Rhode Island Foundation's identified third grade reading as a key outcome that we look towards in our grant making. To support this work, last year we piloted a program called the Spark Grants Program. The program's made possible by the generosity of local philanthropists John and Letitia Carter, and here's how it works. Third grade teachers who are pursuing projects designed to spark inspiration and creativity in the classroom are eligible for one-time grants of up to $1,000 each. Last year, we saw some really exciting projects. Third grade reporters at the VZ Street Elementary School launched a student-written school newspaper where students wrote about school events and published articles for their peers to read. Third grade scientists at the Webster Avenue School conducted research on sea life through a field lesson to North Kingstown. And third grade mathematicians at Young Woods mastered new Common Core line math concepts through the use of iPads and other technology. These types of projects extended student learning, reinforced academic concepts through relevant experience, and most importantly, sparked inspiration and creativity. Thanks to the continued generosity of John and Letitia Carter, the Foundation is pleased to continue the program for the coming school year. For more information, I encourage you to visit the Rhode Island Foundation's website at www.rifoundation.org. There you'll find important information about eligibility as well as a simple one-page online application that will be available on Monday, September 22nd. You'll also find my contact information there, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have about the program. Thank you, and best of luck for a great school year ahead.
Our next speaker is a familiar face to you all. As the leader of the Providence School Department, Dr. Susan Lucy is entering her 4th school year as Providence Schools Superintendent, and the momentum that she and her team have generated can be felt throughout the whole district. She has initiated a shift in the entire culture and the way of thinking in the Providence schools, encouraging vision and leadership, not just among her senior staff, but from all the staff, partners, and community members who have something to contribute to the betterment of the Providence education. Without getting too much into the details of PPSD's Providence on the Move, the highlights of which Dr. Lucy will share with you momentarily, she has worked tirelessly to lay out specific goals, set ambitious measurements of those goals, and deliver them. The watchwords embraced by Dr. Lucy and her administrative team, which you have heard since echoed throughout this morning, are purpose, urgency, focus, and service. And with these themes and with a spirit of congeniality, the Providence School Department is indeed on the move and is poised to make meaningful impact on the lives of tens of thousands of children each year. I now have the pleasure to introduce you to Superintendent Lucy.
Good morning. You know, you all have been sitting for a while now, so I want to start by asking everybody to stand up. People who work in classrooms know that sometimes you have to have a movement break. And city year, this is unrehearsed. I gave you no warning, but can you lead us in a fire up? All right, how do you all feel? Fired up! All right. Thank you. I want to thank you all so very, very much for being here today. I am enormously excited to be starting the 2014-15 school year with all of you. I want to acknowledge and thank a number of people. I want to start by thanking Kinte Howie. I want to thank all of the students that spoke today. I want to thank the students who are with us today, even though not speaking, and there are a number of them. I want to thank our political leaders, Mayor Taveras, Council people Matos, Principe, and Zurier. I want to thank Board President Keith Oliveira, who was with us earlier. I want to thank Nina Pandey and Eva Holsavila here from the Providence School Board. I want to thank our union leaders from 1033, Ron Koya, Jared Lepore, Vicky Virgilio, Betty Jackson, Steve Smith. I want to thank our parents and partners who are here with us today. I want to thank our school resource officers, and I want to give an enormous thanks and an acknowledgement to Mr. Robert Lewis Jr., who you'll be hearing from soon. And I hear he's a tough act to follow, so it's good I'm going first. And I want to also thank all of our students, our teachers, our staff, everyone involved here today, parents, partners, and also a particular shout out to Doris de los Santos, our Executive Director of Partnerships, Development, and Community Engagement. Doris is the moving force behind today's event, and we would not be here without her. I also want to introduce the members of my leadership team, and team members, if you would stand up or wave if you're already standing when your name is called. Joseph DePina, our Chief of Administration. Dr. Lori Batista McEwen, Chief of Instructional Leadership and Equity. Bernie Luger, Chief Operating Officer. Michael D'Antuano, our business manager and also the city controller. Mark Catone, Executive Director of Secondary Schools. Where is he? Rachel Mellion, Executive Director of Office of Transformation and Innovation. Dottie Smith, Executive Director of Elementary Schools. Woo! Nicole Leonier, Executive Director of Performance Management. Scott Sutherland, Executive Director of Curriculum and Instruction and Professional Learning. Doris de los Santos, Executive Director of Partnerships, Development, and Community Engagement, who is hiding down here. Dr. Marco Andrade, Director of Research, Planning, and Accountability. And last but certainly not least, Christina O'Reilly, Director of Communications. So we're here to open our new school year. We're here to tell everyone in this city and this state that Providence is on the move. We're here to celebrate successes, and there have been a number, and we're here to look at future directions, deepening our collective work so that we can achieve the results that we know our students deserve and are capable of. Let me start by thanking you for all you do, and for that, I'm going to turn it over to the KID president. Video, please.
It's time to wake up, people. This one goes out to teachers. Teachers and students. It's time to get our learn on. And we got a lot to learn, too. I don't know it all, but I know a few things. Science. You hear? You take up space, you matter. It's just science, man. Don't be a bully. Don't even be a bully to the bullies. It just makes more bullies. We can all be awful sometimes. We can all also be awesome. It's time to be more awesome. And that's what it's time for. History. We gotta study it so we don't repeat it. But if history does repeat itself, now I'm gonna name my pet dinosaur Reginald. I just hope he doesn't eat me. We can't just study history, we gotta make history. And history's made by ordinary people. Ordinary people like you and me. And that guy. The world's greatest thinkers. Confucius, Albert Einstein, Justin Timberlake. They put their pants on one leg at a time, just like me. But I put my pants on one leg at a time while I'm dancing. You can go by. Yeah. You're gonna be in the video though. Life's at school, and you gotta show up. You can't just sleep in. You can't be late. And you can't just hang out in the bathroom, that's gross. It's like what Whitman said, YOLO. Except he didn't say that, but you would know that if you would read a book, people. Seriously, read a book, any book except the vampire ones. You wanna change the world? You gotta know about it. What if Shakespeare didn't go to school? His plays would be even more confusing. To be or not to be? Is that the question? I don't know what a question is. I didn't go to school. Anybody? Help me out here. I got a question for you. What are you teaching the world? How to be boring? How to make the world sad? No, you're not. We're teaching the world what it looks like to be awesome. No matter who you are, somebody's learning from you. Everybody's a teacher and everybody's a student. Look for the awesome. Teachers see things. They see when you're running down the hall. They see when you're passing notes. But they also see the person that we can all become someday. A writer or a speaker or Martin Luther King. Teachers, keep teaching. Students, keep studenting. That's not a word. Sorry about that. Here's to teachers that see the awesome. The homework is this. What do you want to teach the world? Do it. Let's make some history together because it's simple math. Together, we're better. Those girls are a little too loud. Is there a teacher who inspires you? Let them know. This is for teachers everywhere, so share it with them. We gotta make the world awesome. Somebody's learning from you. I'm out. Get to learn on. We're making history. I'm gone.
Awesome.
Keep learning, people.
Full Pancake, subscribe.
Our students are relying on each and every one of us to see the awesome in them and to call it out. Because sometimes, especially when you're young, you can't always see the awesomeness in yourself. And that's why we're here, to pull that awesomeness out of each and every one of the students in our charge. So why are we here as Providence educators? There is no more important work than to that which we have been called, the work of educating our children. And all of us in this room, irrespective of our specific jobs, are important parts of educating children. And we know that the children of Providence and those like them have a particular need for our time, our dedication, and our talent. We are needed because the children of Providence deserve the best education our nation has to offer, and they will not receive it without us. I'm going to repeat what I said to you last year. I think of urban education versus suburban education, and I've done both, like degrees of difficulty in diving. I'm not a diver, but when you watch Olympic diving, you see that people get a score both for the degree of difficulty of the dive and the execution, the perfection with which they do that dive. The dive we are working to execute is much more difficult because, as brilliant as our children are, they come to us in need of greater supports as they learn. But I know that together we are up to this challenge. We have the will and the ability to execute our dive with a perfect 10 such that all of our children graduate college, prepared for college and career, and to be contributing members of our democratic society. So let's start by celebrating our accomplishments, and I do mean celebrate, because we deserve to celebrate our progress, even as we know we have still more to achieve. Last year at this time, we published Opening Doors, and I talked with you about our theory of action and the 9 strategic priorities that you see here before you, and how those priorities focused on 3 vitally important areas of work: highly effective educators, student-centered instruction, and systems that work. I'm pleased and proud to say we've made strong progress in each of these areas. In the area of highly effective educators, we've made enormous strides. We've started the 2nd year of teacher induction. We've started the 1st year of administrator induction. We've successfully implemented peer assistance and review, and I want to publicly thank all of the consulting teachers involved in both the induction and peer assistance and review efforts. I also want to take this up. We've also developed differentiated professional development for our school leaders. We've increased the amount of site-based control over professional development, and we've developed a new administrative compensation structure that looks at the difficulty of the assignment as well as job performance in considering and deciding compensation. I want to take this opportunity to call out some of our own highly effective educators who've received special recognition this year. And those that are able to be with us, I encourage you to stand up and wave. Our Providence Teacher of the Year, Claudia Jack-Voney of Pleasant View Elementary. Rhode Island High School Principal of the Year, Scott Sutherland. Scott was most recently at Mount Pleasant High School up until he joined us at central office. We had a number of Golden Apple winners this year. Wayne Kilkline at Lillian Feinstein at Sackett, Jennifer Hudson at Roger Williams, Amy LeClaire at William DeBate, and Nicole Marcone at Jorge Alvarez High School. We also were proud to have the Rhode Island School Social Worker of the Year, Barbara Whitbeck of Mount Pleasant High School. We also had a number of staff honored in the area of athletics. Rhode Island Interscholastic League School Administrator of the Year was our own Andre Thibault, who's over here. Classical High School's Bobby Palazzo was inducted into the, let me tell you what he did. Was inducted into the Rhode Island Track and Field Hall of Fame, selected as the Rhode Island Girls Outdoor Track Coach of the Year, and has also been nominated nationally for Coach of the Year. Central High School's Frank Rose received the 2014 Kutnetsky Award for from the Rhode Island boys basketball officials. Let's give them all a huge round of applause. Next, we have student-centered learning, and we've made, again, a number of strides in this area. We've enhanced our academic interventions. We've provided access to the core curriculum for all of our students, including English language learners and those needing additional academic supports. We restored our elementary math coaches despite having declining federal funds, and we've provided differentiated supports to our schools in a number of different areas. I also want to highlight some of the work that's discussed in the booklet you received today and invite you to read more going forward. The first is we've made strides in blended learning, using technology along with our fabulous teachers to increase student engagement, close learning gaps, and help all of our students to excel. That was led first by Pleasant View, but it's also a true example of how our schools can learn from one another, because that work has spread from Pleasant View to Asa Messer to Kazarian and is moving to other schools this year. We are not only capable of progress, we are capable of learning from that progress and spreading the good throughout our system. I also want to talk about expanded learning opportunities, and this work is underway at Alvarez, E-Cubed, and JSEC high schools, working with the Providence After School Alliance and multiple partners. We are a system that wants to be able to reward our students for learning that occurs both inside and outside of school time, and the expanded learning opportunities are the way, or one of the ways to do that. I also want to recognize Youth Build. We've had a Youth Build partnership. It is now our first true alternative pathway to a Providence diploma. And let's give all of those efforts a big round of applause. We've also worked on systems that work. Key positions have been filled. We have position control in human resources, and we have technology underway. Skyward is being implemented, our new student information system. I recognize that right now it's probably the student information system people love to hate because change is hard, but it will give us additional information, access to real-time data, and will ultimately also provide a parent portal so that parents can look at what their teachers are reporting in a grade book in an ongoing fashion. So it will be a true vehicle for sharing information with all concerned. We've implemented new smart boards and more wireless, and more of this work will be forthcoming. For example, we have heard repeatedly that the requirement to use Internet Explorer rather than Google Chrome impedes access to some programs needed for both staff and students. And thanks to COO Bernie Luger and our Director of Technology, Pete Santos, working with many others, Chrome will be installed throughout the district by the end of first semester. We have heard you. We've also seen important improvements in outcomes for students. We have a long distance yet to travel, but we're moving in the right direction on 4 of our 6 indicators, and there are important positives even in the 2 areas that have not moved system-wide. We've seen major improvements in graduation and in dropout rates. The trends are clear. And in January, we'll learn our latest results for the class of 2014. Attendance and chronic absenteeism are both moving in the right direction at every level, and we need to work together to make them move further, faster. Our attendance is inching upward, but has moved in the right direction every year for the past 4 years. We've seen somewhat bigger reductions in chronic absenteeism, and we need to bring the percentage of children who are chronically absent plummeting down so that our children and our system can be successful, because we know our children cannot learn if they are not in our classrooms. Even in the places where we did not progress system-wide and overall our achievement was statistically flat, which is not what we are aiming for, there were important areas of improvement in reading. Fourth grade reading proficiency increased from 43 to 52%, with strong growth as well for our English language learners. We know we want achievement to go even higher, but a 9 percentage point growth in a year is something to truly celebrate. It is a testament to the hard work and dedication of our elementary teachers and teacher assistants in implementing the new Reading Street curriculum and working with all of our students. It is a testament to the work of Mayor Taveras and many partners through Providence Reads and its companion program, Legendo, which brings businesses and community partners in to help increase grade level reading, promote school readiness, improve attendance, and support summer learning. Thank you to Inspiring Minds and all involved for supporting these efforts. We've also seen improvement in 11th grade reading with a steep increase in the improvement for English language learners. I want to give a shout out to Soledad Barreto, our Director of English Language Learners, her staff, and all of our teachers and staff working on behalf of English language learners. We've also had some additional wins, but with these wins come enormous responsibilities. I am very pleased that NECAP is gone, and is gone as a high-stakes testing requirement. You can clap, it's okay. However, with that comes the responsibility to renew our focus on learning, achievement, and true college and career readiness. NECAP, in my view, was unfair and was a distractor from our overall purpose of moving to Common Core as a vehicle for college and career readiness. But removing NECAP cannot allow our focus to waver. In fact, we need to renew our focus and our purpose and our energy to making every student graduate well prepared from each and every one of our schools. The Carnegie Grant, the $3 million grant to start 2 new innovative schools, is an enormous honor and, again, an enormous responsibility. In my view, seeing is believing, and creating these 2 schools will allow us to see that work can be done very differently right here in Providence with our students, our teachers, our community. These schools are focused on mastery, and that's where we need to go, because we need to both close the learning gaps that our students have and accelerate them forward to mastering those concepts. We need to prepare all of our students to be college and career ready. We need to do that because we owe it to our children as well as to ourselves. Economic outcomes for people are more dependent upon education than ever before. In 1965, someone with a high school diploma made about 81% as much as someone with a bachelor's degree or higher. By 2013, someone with a high school diploma made only about 62% as much as someone with a bachelor's degree or higher. That is, there's a pay gap of 62% for non-BA holders. In addition, being more highly educated makes you less likely to be unemployed and much less likely to live in poverty. So our challenge is to take the kind of improvements we saw in 4th grade reading and in our graduation and dropout rates and to improve at that same rate system-wide. Our challenge is to graduate all children college and career ready, and we should not underestimate the difficulty of college. This slide, compliments of Spring Point and Redesign, who are working with us through the Carnegie Initiative, captures what students are asked to do in their freshman year. And these were not simply the highest, most selective colleges. They did a broad-based survey of colleges. They came up with students in their first year of college are required to write 90 to 100 polished pages, read 5,000 pages, complete 6 to 8 final exams, write 30 problem sets, complete 10 labs, undertake 4 research papers, and write 12 argument essays and position papers. That is not for the faint of heart, but we know that every one of our students has the capacity to do that, and we need to get them there. This means having a mastery focus, as I said, closing achievement gaps when we find them and accelerating each and every one of our students forward. We need to do this work not only for our students, but for ourselves, because we want to be successful and we want what's best for our kids, but though we are all working hard, we have yet to achieve full success. Over 60% of our schools have been identified for low performance, and the majority of our students attend identified schools. We know that being good at multiple choice is not the pathway to a successful life. We are using the Common Core standards as our vehicle for achieving true college and career readiness. So what is our path forward? How do we take what we've shown we are capable of and make that progress bigger and broader? The kind of progress that does justice to how hard we work by achieving fabulous results for our students. We will stick with the theory of action I showed you last year and a number of pieces of our work because we know that part of the problem with education is the incessant changing it up. Things are changed up before they can even take root. So in Providence, we will continue what we've started by focusing on effective educators, differentiated supports for our schools, as we provide them with more autonomy and responsibility for the outcomes of each and every child. We will also stick with the practices that need to inform all of our work. How we do our work is as important as what we do. We need to ingrain the practices before you in everything we do throughout our system. Cultural competency so that the cultures of our children and families are honored, understood, and built upon. Labor management collaboration so that our work benefits from the talent, thinking, and engagement of all staff. Building powerful partnerships with our families and community because we know that our efforts alone cannot and will not provide all that our students need. We will also maintain many of our strategies, adjust others, and add 2 more that are important. The first 5 are the same as last year because while good work has been done, there is still more to do. We will also continue to use the work of our innovation zone, as described earlier, as a source of learning, particularly as we move to greater flexibility and autonomy in our schools. Professional development also remains of paramount importance, but there will be even greater focus this year on creating strong school communities such that all students are on track, ready to graduate college and career ready. This work will focus intensively on the Common Core standards and student mastery of those standards at every level. We are going to work to close student gaps as they arise rather than at the end of the course or the school year. For example, if someone fails a unit in Algebra 1, we will be giving that student the opportunity and supports to catch up and pass that unit as the course progresses, rather than waiting till the end of the semester or the end of the school year and then asking the student to make up the entire credit. We need to close gaps as they appear so that we keep moving each of our students forward. Finally, strategies 8 and 9 call out new areas for attention, addressing the social emotional needs of our students and customer service for all. Improving in both of these areas will remove barriers to moving our schools and the learning of our students forward. We have heard you, our staff, and also others who work with our system. I know, and we all know from spending time in our schools, that the social emotional needs of the children coming to us are greater now than ever before. That is why Providence Schools has joined with Ready to Learn Providence on Mind in the Making, an initiative designed to teach the 7 essential life skills, executive functions of the brain that help children thrive intellectually, socially, and emotionally. This work is geared toward grades kindergarten through 3rd and will be underway this year at Sackett, Young Woods, Bailey, Forts, Carnivale, Pleasant View, and Carl G. Lauro. 400 parents, teachers, teacher assistants, and facilitators have been trained already, and this work will continue to expand over the next 4 years. In addition, Sackett, Fogarty, Young Woods, Bailey, and Roger Williams are also implementing one or more programs that are part of our Evidence to Success initiative this year. Evidence to Success is supported by the Casey Foundation and has brought together Providence schools with the City of Providence, the Department of Children, Youth, and Families, and the Department of Health to blend information, work, and funding streams with the goal of improving children's health and development by implementing proven effective interventions in school, home, and community settings. We know that while poverty is never an excuse, it is a factor in our children's lives, and we need services and partners that help address our children's social and emotional needs so that real learning can move forward. We also know we need stronger customer service for our families, our staff, and our partners. Starting with the central office, we need to be problem-solving oriented. We need to ask principals, staff, and families what they are trying to do to best support students and find ways to help them do it. We will not always be able to say yes, but we should only say no after we have genuinely tried to address the issue, concern, or need. We also need to continue school-based autonomies and build on the professionalism and creativity of our staff. Last year, A Venture was started under the leadership and vision of one of our teachers and now the director of the program, Mr. John Gallo. And John is here. Yay! This year, West Broadway Middle School is opening under the leadership and vision of former teacher, now principal, Bill Black. Bill? He's up there. And next year, 2 new schools developed under the Carnegie Grant will open, again allowing our vision and creativity to propel us forward. Providence Schools is on the move. We've seen important improvements in attendance, graduation, dropout, and reading in grades 4 and 11. Now we must break through and make dramatic improvements in student achievement at all levels. To do this, we need to deepen our existing work as well as add some areas of focus. And we must do all of our work with purpose, urgency, focus, and service, the watchwords for this year going forward. I reject the narrative of dysfunction that is sometimes used to describe Providence schools. And this narrative comes from people outside the system and sadly at times from people inside the system. We must stop this narrative by doing remarkable work such as that we have already done in some areas, by telling our story for ourselves and telling it proud, and by having all of our work demonstrate our commitment and our abilities. Together we can do this work, and I know we will do this work. By joining together, educators, families, policymakers, and community partners, every child in Providence will graduate ready for future success. I thank you for all the work you have done, and most especially for the work you will do. Welcome to school year 2014-15, and thank you.
Well, I would just like to thank Dr. Susan Lucy for her powerful words about the innovation that's happening here in Providence and in the District of Providence. I also like to thank all the parents and teachers and principals and city year and everyone that's here to make this event possible. I think you all deserve a round of applause, honestly. And lastly, I'd like to thank Doris de los Santos for giving me the opportunity to MC this event and speak today. So I would like to give a round of applause for her too. So good morning, everyone, and once again, welcome to the Providence School Department Convocation. I am so thrilled to be here this morning with all of you, not to just celebrate the successes of our teachers mentioned this morning, but to also celebrate the beginning of a new school year for all of us. For the students here with me today, it is a fresh new start from the hardships of the school year past. And when a new school year starts, we as students are faced with bigger challenges and hardships than the previous year. However, we always seem to have time to laugh, play, and learn from all the different experiences that are offered to us. Right now, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm currently a senior at Classical High School, and as a senior, I look back on all my previous years as a student, and I begin to realize that I've almost reached one of my life goals, which is to go on to college. It feels like yesterday I was sitting in the window of my third-floor apartment on A Road Street, talking with my mother at the age of 5, telling her how I wanted to go to college and become successful and become the first black mayor of Providence. It seems like yesterday when I went to my first day of kindergarten at Martin Luther King Elementary School, and when I was ready to leave my parents and go on to make good friends with other students in my grade. Some of these students I'm still friends with today. And one last thing that I remember about my elementary school years is that I remember telling the principal of Martin Luther King, who was Deborah Ruggieri at the time, about how when I get older, I'll go back there and become a teacher because I was so inspired by the teachers there to continue learning and to continue going on with all my plans and my aspirations. However, that's not my only goal. My ultimate goal after college is to, and which will hopefully be my life career, is to become a priest in the Episcopal Church in the Diocese of Rhode Island. This is something I felt I was called to as a child. And I'm currently following through with this goal today because I'm a subdeacon now at St. Luke's Episcopal Church, and I've talked with Bishop Nisley, who's the current Bishop of Rhode Island, about my aspirations. And as a student at Classical, I am constantly challenged every day by my teachers to do well in my classes and to seek excellence, not only through my education, but through my aspirations and my extracurricular activities. It is my teachers like this who fill not just the classrooms in Classical, but all of our schools in the Providence district that make school a fun learning environment for all students. My teachers are always encouraging their students to apply for college and to strive for excellence. But I will tell you, some of my teachers have no problems pushing me out of my comfort zone and making me challenge myself, even though sometimes I get mad at them for doing that. I love the high school experience I have been given at Classical. But something else that I was remembering and reflecting on this morning before the start of Convocation is how exciting an opportunity this had been for me. And I've never had a chance to MC a whole event, which is an opportunity that many youth don't get to receive. But I also realized how much more important education has become here in the state of Rhode Island. I see that our schools are every day taking an extra effort to try and raise the standards for students and present students with new challenges to overcome. I'm happy to see that every day our school department in the District of Providence is trying new ways of spreading the message of quality education through new ideas of innovation in our schools so that students will be able to graduate onto the next level of education with all the necessary tools that they need. But I want to say that education is not just about our teachers in classrooms teaching students that are ready to learn. It is about the excitement that teachers, students, faculty, parents, principals, and superintendents have to help push the message that education is key. Providence is on the move. The city we see around us is changing at an alarming rate, and we have to continue to try and keep up with it every single day. I want to challenge every single person in this room to continue to come up with new, exciting, innovative ideas that will help keep education in Providence on the move. Thank you very much. Now I would like to introduce our next speaker, which is Robert Lewis. Robert Lewis Jr. will speak firsthand about the transformative power of education. He will share his own life experiences from his humble youth to becoming a nationally recognized nonprofit leader, public speaker, and passionate advocate for urban youth. Lewis is the president and the founder of the Base and the Boston Astros, designed to keep young people out of trouble while providing them with opportunities to engage in forms of healthy competition and athletic activity. The Astros have achieved immense successes since its founding 30 years ago, from Sports Illustrated acclaim and being named the Triple Crown Sports 2012 Team of the Year. Housed in the heart of Boston's Roxbury, Dorchester, and Mattapan neighborhoods, the Base provides comprehensive athletic and educational advancement opportunities for prominent student athletes based on distinct principles for success. Robert Lewis Jr. is a seasoned civic, community, and nonprofit leader who has dedicated his life and work to making a difference in his hometown, the city of Boston. Known as a bridge builder between Boston's diverse business, civic, and public sectors, Robert has deep experiences with grassroots community-based organizations throughout Greater Boston, as well as government entities and philanthropic organizations and foundations. It is an honor to introduce to you Robert Lewis Jr.
Is Kinte a natural? Is he a natural? No, I'm being serious. Is Kinte a natural? See, if we were in Boston, folks say, be careful if you give me the mic, because you don't know what will happen. So as I've been sitting here, I've been taking notes. I actually, the last few days, you kind of write your speeches and you do all those things, you get ready, right? Because like Dr. Lucy got me ready, we talked and we were prepped and we're ready. Doris, we were prepped and we're ready. Then I got here and I met folks, and then I started talking to one of my dear close friends, Mr. Joe DePina, and we're just talking, and Joe's telling me stories about growing up and, being one of the young folks who attended, the Providence school system. And then I had a chance to talk to Miss Olivero, who's the chair of the school committee, and he was sharing his stories, and your mayor was sharing their stories, and everyone it seems like I'm talking to has stories. I walk in and I see City Air. I was actually the first executive director of City Air after it was founded going back years ago. And then I'm sitting here and I'm just like writing notes. So my paper is all messed up because I'm so inspired by you. So I'm gonna do something because I have the mic and I can do it. We talk about the power and putting the young folks front and center. So I'm gonna ask every one of you young folks, can you please come and stand front and center? Please come stand front and center. Every single one of you. As we just continue to look at these beautiful faces, some of it might be you close your eyes and you start projecting out. Who would have ever thought years ago the mayor, the chief administrative officer, the chair of the school committee, or so many others that are here. The other thing that's been blowing me away is like, you guys are winners. You're acknowledging, you're celebrating winning. Here's the other thing. We have to stop allowing others to dictate and talk about our young folks. If you're back home in Boston and you see my organization, we do not use any negative connotations to describe my young folks. We do not use at-risk, inner city, underserved, none of those. People say, what do you call them? I call them great and I call them student athletes. And what I do is, folks, excellence is a new minimum. We start with a standard, and we start with a moral ground. Every young person deserves to be educated, safe, healthy, warm, fed, and unabused. That is the moral minimum that we start with our young folks. It's the moral minimum. And that's what we're going to do as you continue to do the work you do. Yeah, so I read the stats, right? They told me like 170,000 folks live in Providence, 24,000 students. How many folks live in poverty? Our students of color, how many graduate in 4 years, the absentee, and all those things, right? But data can fool you. Is as important it is, data can fool you, because what we do, folks, we've created this crazy thing that we call our young folks data and statistics. What I ask you to do, please know their names. We need to know their names. We need to know their names. So my young folks aren't called data and statistics. My young folks are called Carcel. My young folks are called Jonah. And my young folks are called Eric. 3 young men that I brought with me who are all getting ready to graduate college. They're the new face of Boston, and I'm going to ask them to stand up so you can see what they look like. Don't tell me Don't tell me because of their zip code and their zip code they can't be great. Don't tell me that you can't dress appropriately. Don't tell me you can't shake hands and look people in the eye, because I'll turn around and tell you, if you think they can't, they may just fool you and they'll succeed. Because come on, teachers, you know that. That's what we're doing. We're actually developing the next generation of leaders. You guys can sit down. Folks, there's a couple of things I want to talk. No one does this alone. We talk about partnerships. We talk about collaborations. But I'm also going to share just some of my own theories. You know, I talk about in Boston, I call it's about the ABCs. Very simple, ABCs. It's about attitude, behavior, and culture. Do you wake up every morning with the right attitude? Not just young people, I'm talking about adults and teachers too. Do we wake up every morning with the right attitude? Do we not bring some of the issues? Because let's be honest, adults, parents, teachers, we got issues too. We're dealing with common life. We're dealing with these things as well as our students. But we have to make sure that we're the ones that are walking and we're the vehicles of true change. So our attitudes need to be right. We might need to adjust ourselves and do this. The behavior is how we act and how we treat. I'll tell you, Doctor, as I was listening to you, I'm like ready to get fired up. Because what you did is you put a moral ground, you put standards, you put expectations. That's what we have to have. Folks, I'll tell you the only reason why Data has been here, because someone set that expectation that low, and our kids have actually just achieved what we've set for them. Let's up that bar. Let's up that bar. And what's that mean? Is some people going to say it's going to cost a lot of money? Of course it is. Great things cost. Great things have time. And it's why I get excited when you have philanthropy and the foundations standing up and saying, we will support excellence. As I said, excellence is the new minimum. Absolutely. That's what I teach them. Excellence is the new minimum. And that's where we actually start. And you have philanthropy behind the table with you. See, it's about culture. It's a culture of winning. So I'm going to take off my jacket because I probably wanted to wear my base shirt. See, I didn't say the base, serving at-risk inner-city kids in Boston. I said the base, and it says success lives here. That's our motto. Success lives here. You have to teach our young folks to have the right attitude. You have to have a behavior of success. See, I have the same demographics of young folks that you're working with. 85% of my young folks are Spanish-speaking. 10% are African-American, 5% are white. And some may call them poor. I just say that's just economics. But they're not poor in their heart. They're not poor in their spirit. And they're not poor in their soul. Matter of fact, they're actually richer than most folks. So we have to say success lives here. And we did something crazy. Some may say, but Robert, you ran a baseball program. What others don't know, yes, I ran City Air. I was a human service chief for Mayor Menino. I was a vice president for program at the Boston Foundation, giving away money. And about a year and a half, I walked in the door. I said, Paul Grogan, I love you. He's the CEO. To let you know, all three of his sons went through my baseball program. All three of his sons wrote their college essays of being a young white man on an all-black and Latino team. And isn't that interesting? The CEO of the Boston Foundation, all three of his sons wrote an essay of doing baseball in the heart of the neighborhood. So I said, Paul, I can't do this anymore. And he said, why? I said, Paul, I've been on this whole national journey around black and brown boys throughout the United States of America. Folks, I'll be honest, I was just traveling the country talking about the state of black and brown boys. From my friend Michael Brown at City Air, who's talking about what's happening in Ferguson, to my friend Julio Marcial, who's at the California Wellness Foundation, to my friend Mark Payne in Chicago, who's working for Mayor Emanuel. We were talking about a new shift and a new paradigm for our young folks. And we're talking about our young folks where graduating high school and going to college and graduating becomes a new norm. So I said, Paul, I'm giving away $16 million a year. And I says, and I'm giving it to organizations. But when have I ever been called to stand up for something greater than myself? See, I don't know what it's like to be hosed. I don't know what it's like to worry about going to a church and not sure if it's going to be bombed. I don't know what it's like to have dogs put out on me. What I've done is I've read and I've watched video about the civil rights. So I turn around and says, my civil rights has to be our young people. I need to stand for something bigger than myself. And I said, Paul, I quit. I didn't have a job, didn't have a space, didn't have any money. But I had 450 young people who made up my baseball program. So I got crazy enough, and I walked into a donor, and I asked for $100,000 on the spot. He gave it to me. He did. But I said, here's the deal. I will be crazy enough to do something that we don't expect of young black and Latino boys. Now, see, I was getting ready to talk off the field because no one expected us in 2012 out of 40,000 teams in America to get selected as the national team of the year. No one expected that. No one expected in 2010 that we were the first inner city team in 75 years to win the United States Baseball Championship. No one expected in 2013 that we would win the United States Baseball Championship again. See, no one expected that because somebody would have said, if you said Boston inner city, they would have been thinking about how are these kids going to look? How are they going to dress? Can they pull their pants up? All those things. And what we're doing, folks, we're shocking America. So I turned around and I built an organization. I built the first academic and baseball facility in the country. You walk into the base, please. You walk in. Not only do I have online college classes, I have the only associate's degree program in Massachusetts in English and Spanish. I have our young folks actually that you have to do academics to actually play baseball. All my kids who dropped out, I had 15, all back in school. 450 young folks in school. Then I went to Boston Medical Center and told them 5% of black and brown boys get annual physicals a year. Boston Medical Center says, we'll help. Then I went to Children's Hospital and said, I need your help. 100% of my young folks get physicals. Let me be clear. 100% of my young people get physicals. 100, no. Wait a minute. I'm a public school kid. You raised me to do this. Don't applaud me, applaud you. I'm only doing what you told me if I was young, if I put my head in the books and I did the work. I've only did what you as teachers told me. If you believe this or not, I drank the Kool-Aid. I drank the Kool-Aid. So I didn't do anything special, nothing more than what you expected. So of course my kids are getting physicals. Of course, in 2 years I've had this organization. We're 40 for 40. Every one of my kids in 2 years are in college. Oh, I didn't tell you this. I've already raised $18 million in academic scholarships. 3/4 of my kids go to college for nothing. From Assumption College, Babson College, College of St. Joseph's, Boston University. See, because I need to make sure I'm supporting the superintendent. Because you just can't do it alone yourself. I need to make sure as a nonprofit I step up. So superintendent, when you come visit, because you will, we have a college admissions office in my nonprofit. I have a college and career guidance counselor in my nonprofit. Folks, every one of our young folks has to do academics to play baseball, and they're all doing it. You know what we learned? Young people have a passion point. If it's arts, if it's media, if it's science, if it's history, if it's sports, what I'm doing is building off this passion point and taking our young folks to be successful. So let me be clear. See, Mr. Poto told me that. Ms. Potts, my first grade teacher, to Mr. Tori Linero, my 12th grade teacher, and everybody in between, started me off with the foundation, and then Tori Linero told me that I was going to college and these things were going to happen. Who would have ever thought a young brother who's a public kid, mom had 6 kids by the age of 23. We all went to public schools. We lived in public housing. I received public assistance. You know the story, right? What they call data, right? That they labeled me. Shoot, man, before CDA was in South Africa, I spoke at the Civil Society Conference with Bill Clinton and Nelson Mandela. I have a picture with Bill Clinton and Nelson Mandela with me in South Africa. People will ask me, Robert, how lucky you were to be there. I said, heck, how lucky they were to be with me. Oh, but didn't you as teachers tell me? Did you tell me, teachers, if I worked hard and I burnt the midnight oil, that these things were possible? So, of course, Clinton and Mandela, they probably, were like honored to be with me. But see, if I don't see myself, if I didn't have purpose, and if I didn't have a teacher who was challenging me, if I didn't have a principal who had high expectations, if I didn't have a superintendent that was willing not to look at my zip code or public housing or my race or my ethnicity, but looked at the talent and the rawness that existed, I wouldn't be here. So teachers, I'll say this to you, and I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. I started thinking about this. When I started thinking about the power of teachers, I says, to some extent, you're heroes, you're mentors, you're artists, you're parents, you're babysitters, and you're coaches. But as I heard today, you're the new paradigm of teachers. You're leaders, you're developers, and you're inspirers. See, because of you, greatness and excellence becomes the new norm. And some may say we are kicking off the school year, because we are. But as you know what you're doing, folks, we're just kicking off the school year and generations for this group here. I'm just going to leave on a couple of things. Because of you, I've had the opportunity to have whatever it's called a pretty good career. And I turn around and says, I love it. And some people might say it's success. They'll read my resume and say, wow, you have a great resume. I always remind folks, resumes say what you do. Resumes don't say you're good at it. Resumes only say what you do. They don't always say if you're good at it. I've had the chance to travel the world. I've had a chance to spend time with who some may consider are some of the most powerful people leading the world. From some of the top companies in America, to actors, to musicians and others. And one of the things that you realize when you get to the core element of them, what they all are people. What we have to remember, folks, this is all about an act of humanity. That's what it's all about. It's about this new human element that every young person will succeed. Because of you, I've learned the abilities and talents and the skills. Man, I could have never thought I could public speak. I remember a teacher told me, get your butt up there, boy, and just go up there and say whatever the heck you want. And what I learned is that first public speech I did, I was probably standing back here. And then another teacher told me, if you're a little bit afraid, get up front and act like you're looking at people, but you can look over their heads and they think you're looking at them. So all of a sudden, you taught me a skill, and you taught me a talent. You also said something to me was the most important thing. Hey, Robert, when times get tough, because they will, please give me a call and I'll be there. Folks, I want to just remind you, don't ever tell a young person to give you a call and then you don't answer it. Seriously. Because that's where we lose credibility. So we have to tell a young person, right, that, like, if you can call me, just please return their call. And because of that, success does live here. Success will live here because of you. Success will be here because of you. And I'll promise you what will happen. The students will remember your name. They just did it earlier, and they'll remember. You will get personal joy and satisfaction that you've done something great. And then when we look at the next decade and we look at generations to come, you can close your eyes and reflect back to today when all of a sudden the new norm took shape. And you realize, folks, the thing that is shocking, folks, is when we say, you don't mean every child graduates high school? What do you mean? Not every child finishes college? What are you talking about? Like, no one gets shot. And then when we turn around and we then know presidents, Kente and I were talking. He says his goal was that he wanted to be the first black president too. And I says, Kente, in a weird way, I don't want to say your dream. I'm glad you're not. I'm glad someone came in front of you. And I hope you're not the second. What I'm saying, folks, we have to create new norms that anyone, no matter what you look like, can do this. I'll end on this. If you take a look around and what inspires me about today, you don't go to too many rooms and you don't go too many places that you actually have the young folks, the older folks, your partners, volunteers, parents, teachers, principals, and other personnel in a collective room. What you're showing America, folks, is that it takes collective action, and it takes a collective action and collective will to do something great. Providence, continue to be great, but please, don't be afraid and don't be, don't be humble. Share your successes with the world. Other urban districts in America need to know what you're doing. And here's the funniest thing about competition. When you're doing something great, right, every other city is going to want to emulate you, right? So guess what, folks? Continue to be great so everyone can emulate you. Then we can all talk and say, every child again in America knows that excellence is the new minimum and success started with you. Thank you for allowing me to be here from Boston. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Good morning. I have the distinct pleasure of following Mr. Lewis as a speaker and the raffle. I will be very brief. My role with the administration, with the district, is to be what Dr. Lucy calls the one who helps execute the strategic plan, or more affectionately known as the executioner. I take that job very seriously, and I'm looking forward to a very positive, structured, and outcome-focused execution of the strategic plan that was just outlined to you. So with that said, I'm going to steal and use the line that you used, that excellence is the new minimum, because I think that is very effective, and I think that that is a great starting point for the district as we begin the new school year. So with that said, thank you for your attendance. Thank you to all the guest speakers, including the mayor, school board chair Oliveira, Mr. Lewis, Superintendent Lucy. And I want to thank our sponsors. Thank you, Dr. Lucy. Our sponsors for today's activities were the Neighborhood Health Plan of Rhode Island and the Rekindling the Dream Foundation. So let's give them a round of applause for their support. So I'm fired up. Are you fired up? Oh, come on, we're going to do better than that. I coach baseball too, and I coach younger boys, and one of the cheers they have is, I'm fired up, you fired up, hey. I'm fired up, you fired up, hey. I'm fired up, you fired up, hey. I'm fired up, you fired up. I'm fired up, you fired up. All right, let's go make it happen. Thank you. Have a great day.